Hi, I'm Zach Reiser, and welcome back to my second installment of some short online video-based lessons. Today, I'd like to discuss with you probably the most commonly asked question that's brought up to me by almost all of my bass students, especially ones that are involved in any kind of improvisation. And that's, how do I come up with new ideas? Any musician that's played for any length of time knows the frustration of being stuck in a rut. They know how boring and how sterile it can sound when you just keep hearing yourself playing the same lines over and over and over again. And for me, over the years, I've found one of the most efficient ways to break those habits or to get out of those ruts is by really focusing in on some different kinds of pattern playing. So I'm going to try to show you in this video the two most common types of patterns that are very useful to try. And then in the next video, I'll try to give some actual musical representations of how I might go about experimenting with those patterns to come up with some new ideas. So the process that I go about when I play a pattern is basically a three-step process, or I run each pattern in three different ways, and I feel like it's a real thorough way for my hands and my ears to really learn what that pattern feels and sounds like. And the goal so much is not that I'm really that concerned about the pattern, it's that each one of those patterns to me is kind of like a piece of vocabulary, and I need to hear it, I need to use it in context enough that I really know what the definition of that pattern means to me musically, so that I can express it in a way that's fluid. So let's pick a scale. It doesn't really matter. The point of this video isn't the scales, it's the patterns. So I'm going to pick A Dorian minor, just because it's a comfortable scale for me. I'm on the 5th fret of my E string, and A Dorian minor looks like this. It's a 2-octave A Dorian minor scale. You could pick anything you want, honestly. You could play these over any scale type. And let's start with the first category, which are runs. We'll get into skips or intervals in a minute, but runs I feel like are a little bit easier to understand right off the bat. And we'll start with the most simple one to me, which is a run of 3. And a run of 3 is what it sounds like. You're running up 3 notes at a time in that scale. So for instance, I'm going 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going back to where I would have been. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, and then 6, 7, 8. And that's the octave. I could keep going if I want to. And then always, with any pattern, run them up and down. You want to be able to see and hear that line from the bottom and the top. So backwards, run of 3s. Okay. Now I said with any pattern, I play it 3 ways. That's the first way. It's called, or what I call, ascending, meaning I'm going up in numbers if you want to think of it that way. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. So descending is the opposite. Each little chunk, each pattern I'm playing backwards. So I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, etc. all the way through the scale. And of course, I'm going to go backwards the way that I came up. Okay? And then finally, after I've done ascending and descending, I'm going to mix the two. So I'm going to alternate every time, ascending, descending, ascending, descending. So I go up the first. Now the next set of notes, I'll go down. The next set of notes, I'll go up. Then down. Then up. Etc. Okay, and now do the same thing backwards. Alright, so that was runs of 3, running 3 notes at a time, ascending, descending, and mixed. Now, you can have as many notes as you want in a run sequence. It doesn't matter. So you could run 4s, you could run 5s, you could run 6s. To be honest, when you get past 5, it starts getting kind of pedantic. It's a useful exercise for your hand, but I don't use them very often in a real musical context. But let me just briefly show you what I mean by a run of 4 and a run of 5. So instead of running 3 notes, meaning 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, we're going to be running 4 notes at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. all the way up. So if I play it kind of fluidly, it'll sound like this. And of course, I would go backwards, I would run it ascending, descending, mixed, all that stuff. Same thing with runs of 5. So runs of 5 is the exact same thing. I'm just adding one more note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. until I'm done all the way up and down the scale. I don't want to go through actually playing all these because I don't think it's really going to add much to your benefit. You can kind of extrapolate from the information I gave prior, hopefully. If not, send me a message or something and I'll try to get a video up later on that goes into further detail with those patterns. Now, I said there were two broad categories of patterns I was going to talk about, runs and skips. These were all runs, meaning that the notes are linked directly to each other. There's nothing being skipped in that scale. I'm skipping around the scale, but each run is fully kind of linear or fully smooth in the way that the notes are connected. So skips are what they sound like. I'm skipping some notes in between. So for instance, a skip of 3 or intervals of thirds is the same thing as a run of 3, but without the note in the middle. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, I'm skipping that middle note. So I'm going 1, skipping 2, going directly to 3, and then I'm going 2, skipping 3, going directly to 4, 3, skipping 4, and going directly to 5. So if I play them, it's a natural sounding scale, or natural sounding pattern. So I'll just play, this is thirds ascending. Down. Now of course, just like any pattern, I play them ascending, descending, and mixed. So that was ascending, now I'll play them all descending. These are thirds descending. Okay, and then I could mix it back and forth, so up one, down the next, up one, down the next. I'll slow that down a little bit on the way down, just so you can see a little more what I'm doing. Remember, I'm flipping back and forth, up one, down the next, up one, down the next. That was a pattern of thirds, not a run of 3, but of a skip or an interval of a third. So I could do the same thing like I did before with the runs. I can just get bigger. So I can do 4s and 5s, but now it's not a run, it's a skip. So they get pretty confusing if you're not used to this concept, so take it slow. But a skip of 4 or an interval of a fourth would sound like this. So now I'm skipping 2 notes in the middle. If you think of your run of 4, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'm skipping the 2 middle notes, 2 and 3, and just skipping from 1 to 4. So the skips of 4s, ascending, would sound like this. Okay, now I would run those ascending, descending, and mixed, just like I did prior. So for instance, just to give you a taste, 4s mixed would sound like this. Interesting. They're a great exercise for your hands. You'll find out there's a lot of fingering shapes and right hand string crossings you didn't know existed until you run all these. And then one of my favorites is fifths. I play with fifths a lot. Same concept, but now I'm actually skipping 3 notes in the center because my run would have been 5 notes long, but I'm skipping from the beginning to the end of the run. So now I'm going to be going 1, 5, and then 2, 6, 3, 7, all the way up. It's a very angular sound. I like it a lot. Okay, so that was ascending. I could play that descending or mixed just like any of the other patterns, but hopefully you get the idea. So in this video we talked about runs of 3, 4, and 5, and we talked about skips of thirds, fourths, and fifths. Each one of those patterns, we're getting used to playing them ascending, descending, and mixed. And remember, when I say ascending, descending, and mixed, I'm talking about each individual little pattern. So like 1, 2, 3, those 3 notes, not the whole scale. The whole scale we always play fully ascending and descending so we can see it from both sides of the scale, if you think that way. So practice this for a while. You can do it with a metronome if you want. You can do it with a drum machine. You can do it freely, rubato if you want. But the goal is to play them enough so that your hands and your ears really know what that feels and sounds like, what each pattern feels and sounds like. So I'll see you in the next video. I'll do some playing to demonstrate these in an actual musical context. Thanks for watching. See you soon.